Have you been naughty or nice this year? When did Santa become so sexy? Today, we're talking Christmas horror that you can stream right now. I'm not just talking movies. I may have included a series or two within this list as well. For this list, I focused on movies that you can stream right now here in the United States. I'm sorry about other countries. I know there are streaming regulations, so I'm not sure if they will stream outside of the United States. Some of them will require a subscription service, but some of them won't. Tubi, hello Tubi. I am not going to be referencing any Krampus films because I talked sufficiently about Krampus films in a previous video, which you're welcome to check out if you would like.
I'm over it.
My Krampus tier list. It was super fun. So much fun.
I'm lying.
There are tons of other movies that I could have put on the list. I picked some of my favorites. Didn't really include any campy films, even though they have my heart and I love them. I will probably do a separate list for those. I love really bad horror movies. I did consider putting, Jack Frost on this list. I thought about putting Gingerbread Man on this list. Actually, how many Gingerbread films are there? Quite a few. I did not include any winter films. For the films to be on this list, it needs to be Christmassy. You need to realize that it is Christmas. It can't just be cold and icy and winter. That is not what I put on this list. It is strictly related to and about Christmas. I'll probably make other Christmas holiday lists. So don't be disappointed if your favorite is not on here. Don't send me emails. Don't do it. Unfortunately, I may butcher some of the names. Moving forward, I'm not the best at this. I apologize in advance, but I will try my best. First, I am going with a mini series. So I'm already starting off with not a film. It is 2019's A Christmas Carol, and it is streaming on Hulu. It is directed by Nick Murphy, starring Guy Pearce, Andy Serkis, and Charlotte Riley. A Christmas Carol is a BBC 3-part miniseries that is based on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, obviously. The story still has Ebenezer Scrooge and Jacob Marley. However, this version of A Christmas Carol is significantly darker than I have seen in the past. It has a lot of difficult subject matter. It is definitely this beautifully shot gothic horror. I love the costuming. I love the production design. A Christmas Carol has always been an intense story for me anyway, but to see it taken to this level was really tough for me. The acting is beyond phenomenal in this. I mean, it is stellar. There are some things, however, in this that might be triggering to some. It does touch on some difficult subjects. It was kind of shocking to me how dark it went, but I think this should absolutely be included on a Christmas horror watch list. 2021's The Advent Calendar, and it is streaming on Shudder. Directed by Patrick Ridremont, starring Eugenie Derouand, Honorine Magnier, and Clement Olivieri. I really hope I got that right. The Advent Calendar is a French film, so it is subtitled. I know that will immediately turn some of you off to this story. However, I think that this is such a fabulous film. Eva is a former dancer, and she was in a car accident that unfortunately left her paralyzed. And on her birthday, which is in December, she receives an advent calendar from her best friend. The advent calendar actually looks so cool and amazing. It's like an antique look. It's wood. It's got like locking mechanisms and stuff. Each box only opens on the date that it's supposed to. And of course, much like a Jumanji type game, it comes with rules. This is a lot darker than Jumanji, mind you. It does come with rules. Basically, if you're going to eat the first one, you have to continue until the end. So, of course, she just gobbles up the first piece of chocolate and begins her adventure. Things take a very deep, dark, supernatural turn. There is, I guess, an entity that is associated with the Advent calendar, and it kind of pulls out, I guess, your deepest, darkest desires. And it's a very, very good, very fascinating watch. I think the acting is phenomenal. I think it's shot really well. I think the story is very cool. And quite frankly, it's spooky. 2016's Better Watch Out, streaming on Shudder and Prime Video. Directed by Chris Peckover, starring Levi Miller, Olivia DeJonge, and Ed Oxenbould. It's set around Christmas time, and there is a 12-year-old boy named Luke whose parents go out and get him a babysitter for the evening. Luke devises a big plan to seduce his 17-year-old babysitter with the help of his friend Garrett, who is absolutely precious. And basically what they decide is there's going to be like a burglary or break-in burglary, and he's going to protect her and save her and be the hero, and I guess she's going to fall into his arms. She discovers his plan and is not very happy with him. This film sounds like it's for kids, but it deals with some heavy subject matter. It shows you a glimpse into the mind of a true psychopath. I knew nothing going into seeing this film, and I think that that is really the way to go watching this film, because I had no idea what was going to happen, and it kind of shocked me in a few points, and I was sad. It was a little bit sad. So I think this is a kind of crazy, kind of fun, kind of wild ride, and I hope you'll enjoy it too. 2007's P2, streaming on Tubi. Directed by Frank Calhoun, starring Rachel Nichols and Wes Bentley. Yes, Wes Bentley from Yellowstone. He is absolutely phenomenal in this. Just crazy phenomenal. Angela is working late on Christmas Eve, and as she is leaving to go to her family's house, she discovers that her vehicle is not working. So she goes to the security guard there, asks him for help. He does provide help, and then she finds herself trapped in the parking garage. P2 is obviously the elevator button for the parking too. Not much of a spoiler to say that it turns out that the security guard, Wes Bentley's character, is the one that has trapped her, and he is just insane. This movie is a little claustrophobic for me. It has a ton of great Christmas music that plays throughout. That's actually what really feels the most Christmas about this, is that there's a lot of good Christmas music in here. It's one of those films that as a female, I find it kind of terrifying because I could see this happening, and that is absolutely scary. Just scary. Some people will not call this a horror movie. However, I absolutely think it is a horror movie. Just because a movie is action doesn't mean it can't be action and horror. Just because the movie is comedy doesn't mean it can't be a comedy and a horror. Just because a movie has elements of a children's film doesn't mean that it can't be horror. If this film is horror, then so is Die Hard. No. They're two completely different films. In Die Hard, you don't have the home invasion element. You don't have the supernatural element. And in Die Hard, most people die from gunfire or an explosion. not decapitated and their head stuck there, not in a wood chipper, not with a Christmas ornament through their eye. I mean, we can go based on the gore, but basically what makes a horror movie is something that is meant to scare and horrify. And I believe that through the gore of this film, it is meant to be scary and horrify. I mean, there are home invasion films that have a lot less kills and a lot less gore and are, let's be real, not all that terrifying. But those are called horror movies. In tons of horror movies, people have been put into wood chippers and spit out. And that happens in this film, and you see it. So, there's an ice skate that decapitates. There's Vikings in this film, which The Northman is considered a horror film. I don't understand why this wouldn't be considered a horror film, personally. Now, I'm not saying that horror is the number one element of this film. No, it's definitely an action. And I would even put comedy second. From 2022, a action, comedy, horror, Violent Night, which is streaming on Prime Video. Directed by Tommy Wirkola, starring David Harbour, Alex Hassel, and Alexis Louder. Some mercenaries have invaded the home of a wealthy family and taken them hostage because they want some money that is in a vault in their house. Turns out Santa's real, and he has to come and save the day. As the family is held hostage, the girl sneaks away and uses a walkie-talkie to talk to none other than Santa himself. Santa was somehow a Viking in the past, which is actually really cool and funny. I don't get it. But I would love to see more about the backstory of this character. He doesn't really even understand how Santa works himself, but apparently he's been Santa for 1,100 years. David Harbour is phenomenal as Santa. When he has his little moments where he does the like when did Santa become so sexy? I really, really love this film. I think it is so much fun. 2022's Christmas, Bloody Christmas, streaming on Shudder. Directed by Joe Begos, starring Riley Dandy, Sam DeLitch, and Jonah Ray. I love Joe Begos. He is quickly becoming one of my favorite directors. I adored Bliss, probably my favorite, and VFW was great too. Robotic Santas, he's technically an android. It should be android Santas, have been recalled because they keep malfunctioning and apparently reverting back to an old military program that they had. I don't know. It's Christmas Eve and some friends are, kind of out drinking, kind of just hanging out to celebrate Christmas Eve. And one of the robotic Santas that has not yet been recalled, technically not taken out, goes on a rampage. It starts off actually kind of slower, but it quickly ramps up. And the more that the Santa becomes exposed, it becomes cooler and cooler. One of the things that I love about what Joe Begos does is he uses a lot of cool lighting and color in his films, and I find them really visually stunning. I just really like that. This is just a fun film, and yes, you do need to turn your brain off while you're watching it. It's kind of silly, but it works, and I love it. He gets laser eyes. Oh my God, it's really fun. I'm sure someone just said, dude, I want to see a Santa with laser eyes. I'm gonna make it happen. And there you go. Christmas, Bloody Christmas. You're welcome. 2018's Puka, airing on Hulu. Here's another one that is technically not a movie, but it was part of the Into the Dark Hulu series from Blumhouse. Directed by Nacho Vigalondo, starring Nyasha Hatendi, John Daly, Tarsha Rose. Wilson is an unemployed actor who takes a job as a full-size furry of Puka. Puka is set to become the newest and the hottest Christmas toy on every boy and girl's wish list. And it does. However, when Wilson dons the costume, he starts having vivid, disturbing hallucinations and sort of loses track of time, and things are disrupted around him, and he is trying to figure out what is happening, what is going on around him. A bit of a sad story as you kind of start to see him unraveling and also how things are coming together and overlapping, and then at the end it all kind of really does make sense as to the unfortunate sadness that is Puka. It is shot well. I think the acting is phenomenal. I think the story is wild and crazy. I love the idea of this new toy. I would actually love to have a Puka myself. It's got these weird glowing eyes, and it has a naughty and a nice version. So in the nice version, it's like, hi, it repeats what you say, and then the naughty is like, bleh, bleh. It's like evil. Also, in 2020, they made a sequel, Puka Lives, which is also airing on Hulu. One of my personal favorites, 2017, Anna and the Apocalypse. Oh yeah. Directed by John McPhail and starring Ella Hunt, Malcolm Cumming, and Sarah Swire. Anna and the Apocalypse is a comedy horror musical. Anna is a senior in high school, and she has plans to go and spend the next year exploring and traveling and, finding herself out in the world. And then a zombie apocalypse attacks her town. While there's not much more I can give to the story without giving something away, there are some really great musical numbers throughout this. It's very, very funny. It's a really well-made film. It's cute. It's clever. The acting is phenomenal. The musical portions are wonderful. The dancing, it's such a great film. I think it's just a really, really fun Christmas horror. If you're looking for something a little bit more lighthearted, I think this is more the direction you would like to go. 1984's Gremlins, airing on Max. Directed by Joe Dante, starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, and Hoyt Axton. A man visits a small antique shop and he discovers Mogwai. The shop owner does not agree to sell the Mogwai to him. However, as he is leaving, the grandson of the owner does sell him the Mogwai with some stipulations and rules. And we all know what these rules are. Do not expose the Mogwai to light, especially sunlight, because that will kill it. Do not let it come in contact with water. And most importantly, never, ever, ever feed it after midnight. Needless to say that after his son receives his Christmas gift, all of those things proceed to happen. And there we have Gremlins. Yay! This is a classic. I'm sure most of you are fully aware of Gremlins and the story. It's a fantastic film. It is a classic, and it will always be a classic. I don't think this film will ever leave my Christmas watch list. 2010's Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale, streaming on Tubi. Directed by Jalmari Helander, starring Omni Tomia, Jorga Tomila, and Tommy Corpella. I know I did not do those names justice, and I apologize. This is a Finnish film, and it is subtitled. So if you're not interested in that, you won't be interested in this film. This film is about a research group who begins drilling in the mountains, and they uncover the resting place or prison of Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not what you think. He is not this sweet old jolly man who goes around and rewards children. In fact, he punishes children. This is actually labeled as a horror fantasy, and I would definitely say it is light on the horror. The whole feel of the film feels more fantasy for me. It's got some darker elements, but considering the way everything works out and kind of shapes up, it's not It's not very heavy. If you're looking for a horror Santa Claus film, this is not the film you are looking for. It is well made and well shot, and the boy, the actor, is phenomenal. And I actually think that father and son in the film are actually father and son in real life, which is awesome. It's shot well, it's fun, it ends well, it's kind of lighthearted, leaves you a little happy. So I think that that is the perfect film to end on for your Christmas streaming. Do you watch Christmas horror movies throughout December? What's your favorite Christmas horror movie? Are any of these movies on your Christmas watch list? Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope that you have the most amazing day, my spooky darlings. It feels very Christmassy, but it's very dark. Isn't that beautiful? He gets these laser eyes. Puka.